Renowned figures whose final resting places were. Consider this. What if I revealed that certain elements of even the most renowned figures in history couldn't? May you find eternal peace, even if years or even decades have passed. Following their passing, their burial sites became. Their graves were disturbed, their coffins were broken open, and their specimens are scrutinized under intense illumination by unfamiliar faces in white coats. Tonight we're tallying down 13 of the most astounding, celebrated historical examinations of celebrities. These are not merely macabre oddities. There are tales of family conflicts that endured, past the realm of the living, murder mysteries that rejected their final resting place and the weight of hidden truths. They insisted on being unearthed with force. From rulers to heads of state, from the ruler of rock and roll to America's darling, transitioning from comedic icons to cinematic stardom. Display icons of these renowned individuals believed they had discovered everlasting peace, but death, as you'll observe, was merely the impetus behind the start of their narratives. Families to cause disruption to their cherished ones. Lasting abodes where dark secrets lie. We were concealed 6 feet beneath, consumed by a sense of desperation. Lawbreakers would take something cherished. An entertainer's physique held for ransom, and the implications of this. What did they discover upon finally solving? Unseal those coffins that have been closed. For many years, as this countdown reaches its final moments, you will realize that occasionally the most startling discoveries often don't originate from alive beings, yet separated from the deceased. These are the well-known stars whose final resting places were unearthed, and the unsettling motivations behind their unending slumber was disturbed. Number 13, Graham Parsons, a truly enigmatic figure. Body snatching that wasn't a. Let's begin our countdown with a tale so outlandish it seems like Hollywood storytelling, exemplified by Graham Parsons. A groundbreaking country rock artist has passed away. In 1973, at the tender age of 26, he was battling a drug addiction. Fatal drug ingestion in Joshua Tree National Park. However, what followed afterward transformed his demise. Among the most peculiar in music history's annals, Tales Parsons had entered into a booze-fueled agreement alongside his road manager, Phil Kaufman, that the individual who passed away first would have their remains transported to Joshua Tree and incinerated in a. Upon Parsons' passing, a spiritual ritual was conducted. The stepfather intended to transport the remains to New Orleans was the chosen destination for burial, yet Kaufman possessed alternative concepts born from a sense of warped devotion. Kaufman, accompanied by a companion, secured the rental of a hearse, successfully persuaded airport employees that they were from. They left the funeral home and departed. The body was carried away in Parsons' coffin. To Joshua Tree, he applied gasoline and ignite it within the desert's expanse. The flames were so powerful they scorched them, their own eyebrows, and almost resulted in a huge. Firefighters pursued the blaze's originators and apprehended them. Ours, though the most peculiar aspect, is this. They only received fines of $750 apiece for the theft of a. It seems there wasn't any law governing coffins, apparently. California has enacted a ban specifically targeting the act of stealing a corpse, leaving behind only fragments. The remains of Parson were ultimately transported to New Orleans for burial, though the majority of he had already been consumed by flames while Not strictly an examination, it demonstrates how individuals will undertake remarkable measures taken to respectfully commemorate the deceased according to their own distorted rendition. 12. Napoleon Bonaparte, the emperor who reigned as transferred on 2 occasions and underwent testing for. Napoleon Bonaparte, the emperor who met his end in exile, succumbed to poisoning. Regarding St. Helena in 1821, yet whispers persisted. Remained steadfast for more than 150 years that he have fallen victim to poisoning by the British. Over time, the murmurs intensified, nourished by the enigmatic circumstances of his final ailment and the political sphere. The reasons behind his supporters' beliefs. In 1840, Napoleon's remains were held prisoner, relocated from St. Helena to Paris for burial was it leaned upon their opening. A coffin, having endured 19 years, bore witness to, astonished by the exceptional condition of his body. Maintained some ascribe this to the potential arsenic exposure for others due to climate change. Toxication that can function as a Swedish preservative from the 1960s. The dentist developed an intense fixation on the. In 1961, he developed a poisoning theory. Specimens of Napoleon's hair were examined and tested, analyzing them with atomic absorption. Spectral analysis. The findings revealed arsenic concentrations as high as 100 times exceeding the standard level. The discovery sent tremors of astonishment throughout. The historical community belonged to the British. Gradually extinguished Europe's most perilous. The arsenic theory became so prevalent among men that belief that substantial discussions were underway regarding the exhumation of Napoleon's remains for a comprehensive forensic analysis. Nevertheless, recent investigations have introduced complexity to the poisoning theory. Researchers emphasize that arsenic has frequently found in wallpaper remedies and common objects from the 1800s. Napoleon's locks might have became tainted following his death, or he might have come to light through him. Environment instead of intentional. Re-examining the question of whether Napoleon's death was caused by poisoning or passed away peacefully, his tale illustrates how tales expand in stature after death more than they do while living. Have ever been in the 11th life of Abraham Lincoln, leader whose body yearned for tranquility. Abraham Lincoln preserved the Union and emancipated the enslaved, but couldn't achieve tranquility. In demise, potentially in the most comprehensive post-mortem examination. Disruption in the annals of American history. Lincoln's remains were transferred with reverence and faced repeated threats of theft. For more than 40 years, the troubles commenced in the year 1876, a counterfeiting operation spearheaded by Big Jim. Kenny made an effort to abscond with Lincoln's corpse. In exchange for payment, they trespassed into his burial chamber and started taking his coffin apart prior to being deterred by the presence of Secret Service agents. This, a near theft that sent shockwaves throughout the nation and triggered a sequence of clandestine actions to secure Lincoln's remains after the tried robbery of Lincoln's caretakers, stealthily relocated his coffin to an unlabeled underground tomb where it was concealed. For a period of 2 years, guests were unaware of, offering homage to an unoccupied sarcophagus. The remains were relocated in both 1878 and 1886. And also, in 1895, every relocation was executed with the utmost care. Secrecy, The most paramount disruption occurred in 1901, marking the year Lincoln's remains were unearthed for the last occasion as part of a principal burial site. The rebuilding effort involved testimonies from 23 witnesses. His son, Robert Todd Lincoln, was also in attendance. Upon opening the coffin, they discovered the president is remarkably well maintained. His features were still discernible. His beard remained untouched following this last viewing. Lincoln's remains were enclosed within a steel casing, confined within a cage, and descended into a subterranean concrete chamber, 10 feet below the surface, untouched and undisturbed. Lincoln's burial site, ever since its establishment, has become one of the limited number of happy conclusions we encounter on our 10th on the list is Charlie Chaplin. The body of the little tramp is being held captive for a price. Charlie Chaplin was significantly more than merely a. He was a world-renowned celebrity, a global symbol of stardom whose a small character elicited laughter to countless individuals, yet when the renowned a comedian's life was tragically cut short on Christmas Day. In 1977, his narrative took an unexpected and dramatic shift. Stunned the globe on March 1st, 1978, with 2 months on from the funeral, grave robbers. In the depths of the night, they unearthed. The chaplain's coffin became his final resting place, encasing his body. From the Swiss burial ground where he had been put to rest, but this occurrence was not arbitrary. It was a case of extortion disguised as vandalism, the thieves claimed. Reached out to Chaplin's grieving wife Una, requesting 600,000 Swiss francs were allocated for her husband's persists if non-payment occurred. Issued a threat to annihilate the remains of one of the world's most cherished. Entertainer Una's reply disclosed remarkable strength and poise. Charlie would have considered this absurd. She stated to reporters, "I refused to pay any ransom." He was her husband, but she wouldn't consent to anything regarding his body. Compensate wrongdoers for breaking her laws. Her husband's final resting place and taking advantage of her. A family sorrow. For 11 excruciating weeks, Swiss law enforcement officers carried out one of the most thorough explorations into the nation's past. The advancement occurred when they identified calls made to 2 individuals, Roman Ward and unemployed auto technician and Gancho Ganf, Bulgarian national, facing questioning. The men disclosed their hiding place. The chaplain's remains were laid to rest in a cornfield. Him from his original resting place when officials discovered the coffin belonging to the chaplain. The body was preserved despite the casket's condition. The damaged chaplain was rebuilt. Remarkable security precautions his. The grave was strengthened using concrete, and the future of steelmaking faces a significant threat of theft. The men were declared to be facing an insurmountable fate. Jail, but their feeble offense had deeply wounded a heartbroken family and shocked the globe. The 9th president, Zachary Taylor, who met a poisoned end, or back in 1991, it had already been over 140 years. Following the death of President Zachary Taylor's, the body was disinterred from its Kentucky resting place. Because of ongoing speculation that he had been killed through arsenic poisoning, Taylor passed away unexpectedly in 1850 after only 16 months. Following his ascension to the presidency after attending 4th of July celebrations amidst scorching heat. On a scorching day, he devoured copious amounts of subsequently ice water and chilled milk emerged, experienced intense abdominal pain, and passed away 5 days later. Subsequently, the official determination was acute gastroenteritis, yet shrouded in conspiracy theories. Theories thrived under Taylor's influence. His opposition to slavery had made him formidable opponents within the pro-slavery movement. What if the course of history had been different for politicians if he had not passed away? Natural occurrences. What if a person intentionally assassinated the president by poisoning him to stop him from hindering the abolishment of slaveries? The exhumation's expansion was significant. Public spectacle when they unsealed the coffin. They discovered Taylor's body in surprisingly good condition. His hair, remarkably, remained untouched and complete. His bones were fully intact. Tissue specimens were analyzed through the cutting-edge toxicological testing. The results were conclusive, leaving no room for doubt. No hint of arsenic or any other toxic substance was discovered. The concentrations of heavy metals within his. The physical evidence was entirely in line with exposure to the environment during the 19th century. In the year marking Zachary Taylor's passing, a century had already transpired. Due to natural factors, just as physicians first established the conspiracy, a concept that had endured for almost 150. After many years, it was finally laid to rest. Interfering with the deceased is the sole method too. May they find eternal peace. The eighth individual, Lee Harvey Oswald, the assassin they needed to confirm, was indeed one of the most peculiar theories. The context surrounding JFK's assassination was that Lee Harvey Oswald's demise was a fabrication. That the individual slain by Jack Ruby was the Soviet counterfeit and the genuine Oswald were experiencing life within the USSR during the year 1981 at the age of nearly 18. Many years following Oswald's demise, his body was disinterred from Rose Hill Cemetery, located in Fort Worth, Texas. An examination was sought by the British writer Michael E. Ditos, who authored a book asserting the true Oswald had been substituted by a Soviet operative. The exhumation attracted intense media attention. Individuals who subscribe to conspiracy theories assembled outside the cemetery's entrance, juxtaposed with the glow of television. Teams from across the globe recorded the events. The air was thick with tension and a palpable sense of festive-like as they lifted the coffin's lid. They discovered a body in a state of significant decomposition. After 18 years exposed to the scorching Texas heat, decomposition had set in. Exacted a heavy price, but a sufficient amount was still left for. During the forensic investigation, the team conducted measurements. Each bone examined included dental work and examined skull structures in relation to. The photographs left no room for doubt about the outcome. The deceased was, in fact, Lee Harvey Oswald. The dental records were an exact match, and bone measurements aligned. Precisely in the context of military records, the concept of imposter theory was conclusively established. The disproving of the exhumation was also uncovered. Unsettling particulars concerning the graves. The coffin's condition was severely compromised, affected by water seepage, and the cemetery's drainage system proved inadequate for the man. Those who altered the course of American history were gradually decaying in water-saturated. Serious. Number 7, Salvador Dali, the surrealist. Genetic testing from the afterlife. In 2017, the body of Salvador Dali was found to be in a state of serious deterioration, unearthed in one of the most peculiar historical paternity cases offer a compelling parallel to a Spanish clairvoyant asserted to be the out-of-wedlock child of a surrealist, a master desiring a portion of his 300 multi-million euro property. Abel claimed that her mother had been employed as the house where Dali resided and had admitted. It was only as she lay dying that the artist realized. Par's dad, following many years of legal. In a courtroom showdown, a judge ultimately ruled in favor of Delale's retrieval of his remains from his burial place at the theater. Dali Museum conducts DNA tests upon their opening. Inside Dali's coffin, they made a startling find, which thrilled forensic specialists. The artist's renowned, distinctively curved mustache remained flawlessly preserved and polished even after 28 years. Even years after his passing, it felt as though the ostentatious performer remained striking a pose for a final photograph, along with DNA samples were derived from Dali's dental bones, and fingernails were subsequently analyzed and contrasted with Abel's. The genetic material processing spanned several months. As the art world pondered the possible outcomes, the response arrived. In September of 2017, DNA testing confirmed. It is without a doubt that Salvador Dali was not the father of Pilar Abel, but the woman who had lived for years under the belief that she was the offspring of a renowned artist has been found. She was ensnared by a familial legend. Abel was instructed to cover the expenses of the excavation, uncovered hundreds of thousands of euros. The case had shattered the tranquility of their eternal slumber. To refute the notion of a master artist's assertion lacking any factual foundation. Number 6. Jesse James, the notorious outlaw. Jesse James met his end twice, being buried on 2 separate occasions. The infamous outlaw is believed to have passed away in 1882, when assassinated by Robert Ford, though rumors lasted for more than 100 years that Jesse had staged his own demise and fled to live. Operating under a pseudonym, these theories became popular when a man by the name of J. Frank, on the eve of his passing in 1951, Dalton asserted he claimed to be the authentic Jesse James in 1995. Scholars chose to resolve the question posed by examining James' alleged Sirius in Missouri upon their discovery of they discovered it in a state of severe decay. Grave robbers, it seems, had acquired various mementos throughout the years, but there was sufficient material left over for DNA analysis, which was then contrasted against samples from James' surviving relatives received the outcomes. The DNA evidence was irrefutable. It matched in perfect harmony with Jesse James established. Despite his notoriety, relatives of the famous outlaw had not. His staged demise had not gone unnoticed, and he was. It wasn't J. Frank Dalton. He had passed away. As history remembers, the fatal shot fired by Robert Ford. In the year 1882, James's body was moved to a safer place to avoid future disruptions to the original headstone, gradually eroded by souvenir collectors over. The man who committed the robbery was replaced after decades. Financial institutions and railways have finally achieved tranquility. Following 2 burials, number 5, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, the renowned musical composer. The enigmatic Mozart, who disappeared from sight, died in Vienna. passed away in 1791 at the age of 35 and was laid to rest in unidentified burial site at St. Mark's Cemetery, in line with the prevailing customs of that era for more than 2 centuries, the precise whereabouts of his. In 1991, the existence of these remains was a complete mystery. Researchers opted to evaluate a skull, were purported to be Mozart's, reportedly been exhumed from his final resting place. By 1801, the skull had already journeyed through several times prior to ultimately arriving at the International Foundation Mozarteum situated in Salzburg during an attempt by scientists to retrieve DNA from the skull dating back 200 years. They encountered the boundaries imposed by a 1990s technology. The technology was insufficient to analyze the bone, as it had deteriorated too severely. Generate dependable genetic material, DNA. What was left was scattered and polluted, hindering identification. In 2006, researchers attempted something that was deemed impossible, employing more sophisticated technology once more. On this occasion, the test focused on teeth purported to be Mozart's outcomes once more demonstrated. It's disheartening to have insufficient genetic material continued as the basis for conclusive comparison. The Mozart case exemplifies the difficulties surrounding forensic archaeology dealing with extremely ancient remains. Differs from more contemporary instances where, in the 18th century, DNA offered unambiguous solutions. Obstacles frequently persist, proving impossible to overcome. Challenges to conducting genetic analysis could include: it's somehow appropriate that Mozart's continues to be lost to the annals of time, just as his music that goes beyond the physical realm. The world Mozart has transcended into a realm of greater, more inspiring than any man, legend. The deceased identified as Mary Surratt, case number 4. The inaugural woman to face execution by the federal government. In 1865, the government of Surratt executed Mary for her supposed involvement in Lincoln's the execution of the first female assassin. By the national government, though concerns remain, her feelings of guilt lingered for many years, resulting in efforts to disinter her remains. For justification, Surratt took action. Residents where John Wilkes Booth stayed in. The plotters confronted the evidence arrayed against them. The evidence against her was primarily based on circumstantial details. She was aware of this. The conspirators convened at her location. The founding and her offspring participated. Within the narrative, a military tribunal is established. Her attempts were rapid and numerous, prompting many to assert, unjustly, even among some commission members there was 9 officers, 5 of whom expressed reservations, signed plea for sentence reduction. Due to her gender and age, the president, Johnson, asserted that he had never witnessed this. A petition filed during the 1890s by her daughter, Anna, requested an exhumation in the hope that new forensic methods could uncover. Though evidence was disregarded, however, when researchers discovered Surratt's final resting place, discovered that it had been interfered with at some point. Throughout time, the remnants were not. Is it possible for this disruption to remain complete and unbroken? Arose due to natural deterioration and flood-related harm. The reason behind the alteration, whether intentional or accidental, is still unclear. Even with the desecrated grave of Anna, ongoing attempts to clear her name, a mother is preoccupied with inquiries concerning Mary. Surratt's unblemished reputation remains intact in the public eye. Contemporary historians examining discourse. The prevailing evidence suggests that although Surratt could have been aware of a conspiracy, the degree of her participation is still unknown. Her ambiguous situation serves as a warning. Story concerning hasty judgments during periods of haste. Regarding the nation's third major crisis, Elvis, the king, Presley, they needed to demonstrate was truly, no celebrity death has ever been produced a greater number of conspiracy theories than when Elvis Presley passed away, the world mourned. In 1977, amidst the halls of Graceland, conspiracy theories began to swirl. Right away asserted that he had fabricated his, seeking refuge from the crushing weight of fame's demands. Supporters cited purported discrepancies, the incorrect spelling of his, the middle name etched upon the gravestone, exceptionally weighty coffin, and a multitude of reported Elvis sightings across the globe persist. The theory of aliveness transformed into a cultural phenomenon. This phenomenon emerged by the 1980s, concurrent with Elvis's. The body has yet to be formally exhumed. Even with many requests, the closest an effort was made in the 1990s within the field of forensic. Professionals proposed utilizing ground-penetrating radar to verify the presence of a body's being there without causing any disturbance to the burial site. The estate representing Presley refused, stating that Elvis's family desired for him to find eternal peace. Others interpreted this as an indication of a conspiracy to hide the truth. Although others acknowledged their wish for medical professionals specializing in privacy and bereavement issues who continuously examined Elvis's case, determined his death to be completely in line with his health issues. The heart suffered significant damage from the misuse of prescription medications, exploring the reasons behind it. The fatal heart attack that ended his life. The enduring nature of Elvis conspiracy theories demonstrates the intricate nature of our connection with the concept of celebrity death, the notion that he could have fled to live an ordinary life, transformed into a reassuring fantasy for supporters who refused to acknowledge his second death. President John F. Kennedy, the leader whose the autopsy on JFK's remains was never truly concluded, has never been unearthed. The management of the practice of autopsy has sparked increased debate, maybe more so than in any other instance throughout history. The first autopsy conducted at Bethesda Naval. The hospital procedure was carried out under exceptional situations handled by physicians who lacked the expertise of forensic pathologists. They operated under pressure from authorities, desiring rapid completion, resulting in severe flaws in documentation. In Kennedy's most debated procedure, the brain was extracted for independent examination, but subsequently vanished from the national. To this day, the mystery of what remains unsolved in the archives. What befell the president's mind, a core component of conspiracy theories. During the 1980s and 1990s, scholars urged Kennedy's excavation, asserting that progress in technology holds the potential to offer conclusive information regarding the quantity of shooters and instructions in bullet points, though concerning the Kennedys. The family has resolutely rejected any disruption of the presidential tomb. They contend he has made sufficient sacrifices for his nation and is worthy of peace. The government has also shown reluctance to cite practical and ethical considerations regarding Kennedy's remains will forever be disinterred. The likelihood of passage of time remains improbable, rendered the examination less rigorous scientifically, still holds worth despite continued family resistance. Unquestionably, Marilyn Monroe reigned supreme. Sensational figure turned murder enigma at. Firstly, the most surprising fact is possibly a fabrication of story, one that is entirely made up, but nearly got terrifyingly close to Marilyn. Monroe's death occurred in 1962 under enigmatic circumstances that have sparked countless theories of conspiracy. According to the official account, theories stated, probable self-inflicted death declared in barbiturate case. Damage, but doubts emerged promptly regarding the true events of that night in her residence in Brentwood and her associations with the Kennedy siblings inspired speculation that her death was a result of being murdered to stop discoveries concerning their relationships the most. A significant obstacle arose in 1982 when the Los Angeles County Supervisors Board resumed the investigation at this time. There were in-depth conversations regarding the probe, regarding the potential for exhuming Monroe's remains for contemporary examination. Innovations in autopsy techniques within the field of forensic science. From 1962 onwards, the possibility of new assessments emerged. Uncover overlooked evidence and explore its potential. Sent tremors throughout Hollywood, and Monroe's admirers found the notion unsettling. America's most cherished symbol was profoundly. Despite the controversy, however, investigators finally opted not to exhume. Upon careful consideration of all available evidence, they determined there is no trustworthy evidence to support claims of murder. The choice to leave her resting place undisturbed only intensified the speculation surrounding what? The possibility that officials are concealing the Monroe has served as the model for celebrity demise theories involving all factors contributing to this speculation. Stunning fragility strength, links and sufficient uncertainties to permit alternative perspectives the reality that Monroe's unmoved remains persist. Conspiracy theories to thrive. Unresolved as long as the enigma persists. The bombshell who epitomized Hollywood's glamour. Elegance can endure eternally in. These tales unveil the power of imagination. Something disconcerting about our connection to celebrity and death. When everyday individuals pass away, they find peace. Unbothered, yet celebrities are a part of. Even in death, the public continues to engage with their bodies, serving as proof in conspiracy theories, objects of fascination or aims for. Every examination was motivated by a desire for exploitation, driven by diverse reasons, yet all united by a common. A shared belief unites them all, the pursuit of fame. Establishes widespread ownership. After death, families confronted dilemmas that defy easy solutions, safeguard dignity, or frequently search for answers, often at a great cost. Emotional expenses irrespective of the lessons learned. These cases impart valuable lessons to us. Science offers solutions to historical mysteries. Confirmed mysteries surrounding Taylor Oswald and James, though some enigmas prove intractable. Answer resulting from time and deterioration. Conspiracy theories demonstrate a surprising ability to continuously enduring, even in the face of contradictions. Most significantly, evidence points to death as public interest grows, so too does its intensity. Underlying every captivating tale were genuine realities. individuals experiencing genuine sorrow, their families. Those who opted for exhumation sought to achieve resolution. Whispers circulated among those who had chosen to remain shielded. Honor in their entitlement to mourn. Anticipating privately, with a forensic perspective. Scientific progress intensifies the push to exhume. Renowned vestiges are expected to rise in number, but these decisions shouldn't be solely technology-driven. The most impactful judgments possessed unambiguous, readily answerable questions at a minimum. The fishing trips proved successful. Anticipating undisclosed discoveries. Upcoming families can gain valuable insights from these. Scientific consultation can offer valuable experiences. Ascertain if valuable information is. Obtainable legal guidance can safeguard. In opposition to unsubstantiated claims, and the deceased desires should be honored. Influence spanning from emperors to performers. These stars serve as a reminder that fame provides no safeguard against exploitation, even immortality, regardless of the cause. The allure of conspiracy theories and the pursuit of scientific inquiry, or the corrupting influence of criminal desire, unsettling the eternal. Rest is always treated with utmost seriousness. Effects spreading far and wide beyond these tales powerfully demonstrate the capabilities of science to address inquiries while also acknowledging its boundaries. They expose the celebrity's fragility, following mortality and our obligation to prioritize the deceased's respect and honor above all else. Significantly, they serve as a reminder that the individuals behind every examination carries the weight of a grieving family, worthy of empathy rather than condemnation for the impossible decisions they faced were truly shocking. Celebrities truly deserve ample rest. Does peace desire the same things as everyone else, or is fame its ultimate goal? Establish novel posthumous responsibilities. Please share your thoughts in the comment section below if you. I found these tales utterly captivating. Give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe for more content. Astonishing stories emerging from the convergence of enigmatic renown, mystery, and the inevitability of death. Thank you. Observing and recalling at times the most amazing tales unfold after the final act concludes.